Logan Paul, Andrew Tate. Obviously everybody knows Andrew Tate. He's very controversial. He was a kickboxer and he retired, but then now he's more famous for, basically talking shit on the internet, making like misogynistic content and basically like promoting like this masculine icon. Regardless of his beliefs, it's just like I just never really was on my radar. I never really watched. Of course I knew who he was, and of course I knew some of his like more classic clips, but I always kind of knew him just from kickboxing, honestly. So he's probably like one of the most popular people in the world right now, and obviously so is Logan Paul. Now Logan Paul is going to be fighting January 14th in Houston, Texas. This is alongside his friend KSI, who's going to be probably fighting a guy named Joe Fournier. But this is just the exclusives here. This is the exclusive news. You get the exclusive scoop, but that's supposed to what's going to supposedly happen. Right now Logan's looking for an opponent. I think if it's up to them, their number one choice is Andrew Tate. But it seems like Andrew Tate isn't really interested in the idea, and also I don't think Andrew Tate can come to the United States. So I don't think that fight will materialize, but one thing that I found interesting was something that Logan said this week.
I don't like you. I want to fuck you up. Let us step into the fucking octagon, brother. An MMA fight, me versus Tate in the UFC.
So, to clarify, Logan wants to join the UFC and also, I guess, sign Andrew Tate. In this hypothetical scenario, it would be a one-fight contract and basically fight in MMA under Dana White's promotion, under obviously the UFC, the biggest MMA promotion out there. Regardless, if you think that this fight could happen with the UFC and you think Dana would like it, let's ignore that. That's not really what this video is about. This is a fight that could generate a lot of money. I mean, who wouldn't want to see Logan Paul, Andrew Tate, and the UFC all together? That's just a recipe for a massive pay-per-view. I could imagine, like 2 title fights, undercard, featured bout, Andrew Tate, Logan Paul, 3-round MMA bout. I don't think Andrew Tate will take this. There's really no point in him to take it. Like, basically, Logan is the one with the wrestling advantage. Like, why would you have a set of rules that would just favor the other guy? So it probably is not going to happen in MMA. But what do you think about if this were to happen? Logan Paul, Andrew Tate. It'd be interesting because Logan Paul does have that wrestling background. He is a guy that's wrestled with a guys like Paulo Costa, and Paulo Costa is like a top middleweight. Though he isn't a wrestler, he's more of a striker, but still he could wrestle a lot of these guys, and Paulo is a big guy. We've seen him miss weight by 20 pounds, so we know that he's a big dude. I think that there's a high probability, especially if it is true that Andrew Tate can't go into the U.S. I mean, imagine if in this February card, you got main event Alexander Volkanovski, Islam Makhachev, then you got co-main event Aljamain Sterling, Henry Cejudo, and then you got as a featured bout you got Logan Paul, Andrew Tate. I mean, I think our heads would just explode. 3 rounds. I mean, I think it's very possible, but I think Andrew Tate's going to be the one to hold this up, honestly. I think the UFC would be more on board than Andrew Tate is, actually. Tyson Fury, heavyweight champion of the world, boxing. I mean, in my opinion, one of the greatest heavyweight boxers that has ever lived. How many heavyweights, let's talk about even Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, could handle a guy like Tyson Fury that moves so well, that's 6'9", that weighs 280 pounds. I'm not saying that he's necessarily skill for skill greater, but he is a problem to deal with for any heavyweight in any generation at any time. No heavyweight is going to be like, oh yeah, I can handle this guy with ease. Boxing, in my opinion, is a ginormous mess with this whole thing. These fights don't happen, and that's why the people like the UFC more, is because the best actually fight the best. And I think a lot of people were surprised to find out that Tyson Fury's next fight is going to be with Derek Chisora. This is actually a trilogy fight. He's fought him twice before, beaten him twice. Now, another YouTuber that talks about combat sports, boxing, MMA, True Geordie. I love the guy. I love all of his videos. I would definitely check him out. But he actually did an interview with Tyson Fury. He's done one in the past before, but he did one basically pressing Tyson Fury, basically saying like, hey, like, this is clearly a mismatch. Like, you could fight a better opponent.
I don't think he should be getting a world title fight. And I think there's a potential in boxing for people to get badly hurt when they're mismatched. And I think that this is a mismatch.
I don't. I think the heavyweight fights and anything can happen.
I wish you the best of luck, mate. See you next time. Cheers, mate.
I think you're a tosser, you little tosspot. I won't be doing any more interviews with you little tosspot bearded.
No worries, mate. Thanks very much.
Basically, as you can see, Tyson Fury at the end is pissed off. If I were to summarize Tyson Fury's argument and True Geordie's argument, True Geordie is kind of like, hey, you can fight a better guy. There's tons of top 15 guys. And Tyson Fury is like, look, I don't understand why you're counting out Derek Chisora. I mean, the guy has been fighting at the highest level for a long time, and it's heavyweight boxing. One punch can change everything. And I can get a little bit of Tyson Fury's frustration. You know, he's on the program to promote his fight, and basically the last thing he wants is some dude on the internet just shitting on his fight, when especially at the end of the day, it's a fight. You know, regardless of who you're fighting, he could be fighting some random guy on the street. You know, that's more than most people would do. So I can understand Tyson Fury's side. However, in my opinion, yes, this is very much a mismatch and a very unnecessary matchup. I mean, at the end of the day, what it seems like to me is, look, this is Tyson Fury. He hasn't fought since March. This is probably a warm-up fight for that Alexander Usyk fight. Hopefully that fight happens. You know, I think as an interviewer myself, watching that Geordie interview, I respect, first of all, hey, like, you're saying this online, and, you know, you have this opinion online because he has said this in videos that he doesn't like this fight, and, you know, you don't want to just fake it because the person, you know, Tyson Fury is right there. So I understand that, you know, you want to tell the truth and not hide and be, like, respectful and be like, hey, I disagree with this. Of course, I don't think this is that big of an issue. I don't think that, I'm not, like, mad about it. I'm not anything. I just think at a certain point, I think Geordie probably should have stopped pushing at certain points about the issue. Like, ask him the question. Of course, he was respectful, and I don't think Tyson Fury even liked it from the jump, but at least stop there and be like, all right, you know what, you gave me my answer, you gave me a side. I'm not going to convince him. My job isn't to convince him. You know, it's not like Tyson Fury's gonna be like, you know what, Geordie, you know, you're right, I'm going to drop this fight, and you know what, I'm going to go fight Alexander Usyk December 3rd. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I think, yes, it was fair to be like, hey, like, this fight is a mismatch. I truly think this. And he said it in a very respectful way. I don't mean to make it sound like Geordie was attacking Tyson Fury. It's so funny because people either like shitting on Tyson Fury or shitting on Geordie. I think at the end of the day, look, I think, like I said, Geordie could have stopped at certain points, maybe ask a question, accept, okay, that's his answer, move on. But I do respect giving your opinion, not being fake. You've said this online, and, you know, I don't want to say he's talked trash about Tyson Fury privately, but you're not going to say it to his face. I understand the dilemma there, and I understand him being like, hey, I want to say this. He said it in the best way possible. He said it in the best respectful way. But yes, like I said, I think that this is, of course, a mismatch. I think the Anthony Joshua fight would have been a lot better than this. I think any fight would have been better. You know, Joe Joyce out there, he would have been a good choice. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to my opinions about these subjects, and thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.